How's it going, folks? Stu here. Every year at the London Film Festival, there is a very fun tradition of screening a surprise film, which is, you guessed it, a film no one knows what it's going to be until it starts. I always get nervous as heck sat in that screening before the film starts, and they always tease the shit out of it, and it kills me. There's been some good ones in the past, looking at you, Ladybird, and there's been some bad ones in the past, looking at you, Green Book. We all at the point where we can agree that film wasn't that great? Thankfully, this year did not disappoint, and we were treated to Mike Mills' latest film, Come On, Come On, which is one of those titles which takes a word and makes you say it enough until you don't think it's a real word anymore. Come on, come on, come on. Come on doesn't sound like a word anymore to me. So Mike Mills is a director who I really love. I've enjoyed a lot of his work in the past. He did 20th Century Woman, a film I really loved. He did Beginners, which I never saw, but I've heard great things about. And more recently, he directed the visual short feature film to go alongside the National's most recent album, I'm Easy to Find, which I absolutely loved, and I highly recommend checking out. I think it's on YouTube, so typey, watchy that. And this one almost feels like a kind of extension of the stuff that he started to explore and create with I'm Easy to Find. It's a black and white film again, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix and Woody Norman as an uncle who is left to look after his nephew whilst his sister is off sorting something out. That's all I'll say. It is a film which moved me, made me laugh, made me smile, big beaming smiles, and just reminds you of all the lovely good stuff in humanity and relationships with family and friends. It was a heartwarming time, and I just had such a good time with it. Mike Mills has always had this really interesting and effective, I think, way of navigating stories and plots in this kind of collage-like, really textured and layered, almost montage approach. And it creates this really interesting and overall really moving approach to looking at sort of memories and the past and the present and how we look back on things and relationships, which is a visual idea and sort of cinematic theme which I always tend to latch onto and really find myself absorbed into. I just kind of love that shit, and I loved watching that blended with this really effective and heartwarming, very honest relationship at the front of it between Joaquin Phoenix and Woody Norman, who were just so great in their respective roles. It was just a joy to watch at all points. Joaquin Phoenix gives a really sort of heartwarming and just genuine down-to-earth performance, which is a nice change from some of his more recent stuff, which has been quite intense, shall we say. This feels a bit closer to something like Her in his earlier filmography, and I just enjoyed watching that kind of heart and warmth radiate out of him. But by all means, the real star of the show is Woody Norman, the child actor that plays Joaquin Phoenix's nephew in this film. And my God, is he good. And also British. He actually was at the surprise screening, and they brought him out at the end to answer a couple of little questions on stage. And the entire audience was like, oh shit, as soon as he started talking with a British accent. One of those performances. Kid crushes his American accent in a film, and the kid crushes the film overall. It's one thing to be able to stand up against someone like Joaquin Phoenix as an actor in a film generally. It's another thing to be able to do it when you're that young, and he does do it. He just got this real energy to his performance, which never felt annoying to me and always felt really enjoyable and fun to watch. It fills the film with this really sort of disarming, childlike sense of humor and their approach to the world. But also, he works really well in the dramatic moments between the two of them, which are littered throughout and never feel particularly obvious and on the nose, and always feel earned and very genuine and down to earth, which I think is an aspect of Mike Mills' direction which I've always really appreciated and definitely continues here in Come On, Come On. And it makes for a very sincere film, which is just almost impossible to feel cynical at, I found. I really did get wrapped up in this story about family and love and friendship. Tears were rolling straight out my eyes. They just skipped the cheeks and were just like, yep, floor. But it also edits together all these really interesting conversations with children in the real life, which it looks like, and I think, although I haven't checked, so bad reviewer alert, but I think they're real kids that they interviewed, and it really does a good job of breaking the film up in a way which doesn't feel wholly like, well, what are we doing this for? But instead feels like it only helps to sort of enrich that idea and that theme of kids teaching adults and learning stuff from the way children approach the world. Yeah, I love those interviews and the way they're sort of woven into the tapestry here, but it's also presented gorgeously with stunning black and white cinematography, which always just looked chef's kiss. But I wouldn't be surprised if for some people it came off as maybe a little bit on the nose, a little bit obvious. I can't really sit here and say that I don't understand where people are coming from when they say that, because yeah, a lot of the stuff in here does kind of feel a little bit obvious, but not to me in a very contrived way, more so in a kind of weirdly authentic way. Like it feels like exactly how these sort of things would and should be presented. And I think, along with what I found from a lot of Mike Mills' projects before this, it does dance that line between style over substance very, very well. It never teeters over it for me. And actually, I think it's a testament to Mills' quality and ability as a director that he's able to get away with some things that might feel much more obvious under lesser directors. He just has a very good way of disarming you as a viewer. I just couldn't not love the stuff that was happening in this film and the way he approaches it. My biggest problem with the film is, I suppose, in the middle, it can start to feel somewhat repetitive, just in the sense that we're watching these two characters for the whole thing. And even though it's broken up with different visual elements and different sort of interview moments, sometimes you might feel like we're seeing similar scenes over and over with similar sort of endings and beats to them. But it never becomes a big problem for me, just purely because we've got such engaging and charismatic performances from the two leads, and because Mike Mills is so great at being able to weave through things and bring things back around to really poignant motifs and themes. Overall, I just love this thing. I really can't wait to rewatch it. I think it's going to be a very rewatchable film, Come On, Come On. And I think there's going to be something for everyone in here. I would be hard-pressed to find someone that came out of Come On, Come On really disliking it, because it is just so heartwarming and lovely. I had a great time with it. But what about you guys? Have you caught Come On, Come On yet, or are you excited to check it out? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and we'll have a little chat. And while you're down there, click subscribe, means you don't miss any future reviews on the channel, and also it's fun to click things, I suppose. So, like, do that. I'll see you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films that have been dropping. But until then, I want to hug Joaquin Phoenix because the man looks very cuddly.